u square minus 3uv. Minus 4uv. Now I still have 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. Seems a little bit more complicated. It has positive, it has negative, different powers. So you should think carefully here. I need also to group 2 and take a common factor. It doesn't have to be the first and second. It can be the first and the third, for example. You don't have to group the two in sequence. So one choice is to take the first and second, because there is a common factor here, which is u, as you can see. Okay. So I'll just take the first and second here in this case, because there's a common factor u. U is a common factor. What remains from the first one is u. What remains from the second one is minus 3v. Okay now? Right. How about the second group here? What's the common factor? In numbers, you have 12 and you have minus 4, or 4, yeah. So what is the common factor? You can take 4 common factor, right? Okay, so I'm going to take 4. Remember, we're adding terms, so that's 4. Don't forget this is plus, otherwise you make a mistake. You're adding 4 common factors, so what remains from here will be 3. What remains from here will be minus 1. Okay? Minus 1 multiplied by whatever is remaining. Okay, if you look at the variables, I have here v cubed, I have also v here, so I can take a v. I can take a v common factor. So if you take a v as a common factor, what remains from here? This would be a v square. Right? And you already took the v here, so you just remain 1 multiplied by u, right? You can just write it as u, all of it, right? This would be 3 v square minus u. Okay? Yes? Okay, there's a mistake here. This is a v square, and that's why this is also a v square. And now this looks like this one, right? But it's not exactly the same. If it is not exactly the same, you cannot take it as a common factor. This is u positive here, but u here is negative. 3v square is negative here, but 3v square here is positive. Okay, and they are not the same. But there is a way to make them the same, isn't it? How do you make them the same? See, it's only a difference of sign. And here u is the opposite, and here also 3v square is the opposite. So this is completely the opposite of this, right? The opposite means negative. It is the negative of this. So if you just take a negative common factor, they become the same. Okay? So let's take a negative common factor. If you take a negative factor from here, and take a negative factor from here, what will happen? Just take this minus outside, okay? So if you take a negative factor from here, this will become what? This is already plus. This is already plus. You take a negative from positive, it will change, become minus 3v squared. And when you take the negative from here, which is already negative, it becomes plus, right? Everything will change. You're taking a negative common factor. And this negative will come outside here. Okay? When it comes outside, it will be multiplied by 4v. Negative multiplied, not this is all multiplication, remember. So it's just like a minus 1 multiplied by this, and this is still multiplied by 4v. And I just don't like to write it this way, so I'm just going to write it minus 4v. Minus 4v. Okay, so that's actually minus 4v. Okay, now that's exactly what happens. And instead of having positive 4v, I basically took minus 4v. Why? In order to make this the same as this. And you should be able to get minus common factor at any time from anything. It's very simple. Just change the sign. Take a minus outside, change the sign inside. Both sides. That's it. Very simple. So when I did this, now I still have this u multiplied by u minus 3v squared. And now this is the same now, because this is u positive minus 3v squared, also u positive minus 3v squared. So these two terms now it becomes exactly the same. Okay, let me just do that in a different column. Okay, this becomes the same, so this becomes the new common factor now. Become outside a u minus 3v squared, the new common factor, and what remains from the first is just u, and what remains from the second is minus 4v, and this will be the final answer. This will be the final answer. So it's the same thing, but there was a small trick here, which is you have to take minus common factor sometimes to make these two, small binomials the same, to make them the same. You need to take a minus common factor sometimes. Okay, and this is common question in exams. Common question exams, that you have to take minus common factor to make these two the same. If you don't, then they will not be the same, you will make a mistake.